George, a quick demo video for you for your Valkyrie staff. This staff is by a couple people. So Vaults of Valhalla, Shadowfoil props, and then Phoenix props. Okay, and they all played a different role in this. But this is your staff completely done. I got this done over the weekend. I just didn't quite have it in me to make a demo because I had some other things around the house I needed to do. So we're getting it done this weekend, or I'm sorry, this morning rather. It's installed the Proffie. It's got one Proffie with two sets of CC Sabers lit PCBs in here. There are some things that I had to do to this saber, all right? But before I do that, let's go over the install, and I will point to the first thing that I had to do when you take your handle off. Now, when taking the handle off to get to your battery, it's not going to be the side of the speaker. So this is where your speaker venting is right here. The handle and this emitter is what comes off. But before you do that, you have to unscrew this switch. It's a plunger switch. So we unscrew it, we take it off. Very important that you do that. If you don't, it's not going to come off. All right, so we do that. You can just take your handle at that time and unscrew it. Pulling it back this far shows your crystal chamber. So this has a real quartz crystal in it. It is wired independently. So you can program that to do whatever you like. Moving forward, you've got your battery compartment for your 21700 battery. All right. And so obviously that's removable. And then when you take it out the rest of the way, this is the unfortunate part that I had to do to this chassis. The chassis tolerance was off from the Saber. So this thing was too big for the Saber. This is the one that you provided. It's printed in an SLS material from Shapeways or somewhere. This material is not susceptible to being sanded. So I had to do this with a file and a Dremel. I mean, I had to take quite a bit of diameter off. I had to bevel this edge a little bit here where there's a diameter change in the chassis. I had to do that quite a bit, all right, to get that to fit. That's one thing I had to do. I did that to the other side as well, but not as much because I wanted that to be more of a press fit since this piece never comes out and there's no chassis retention screw. I left that one kind of tight so everything holds itself together really well. All right. So yeah, that's one thing I had to do right here. What else? When putting in your battery, it's a pretty thick battery. I mean, a 21700 is pretty robust, right? And this will be in your box. Be very careful because you've got half your chassis missing here for your crystal chamber, and then the rest is just grilled section. It can be, it's a break point, right? If you're not careful. So just be super careful putting your battery in and taking it out. Also on this Saber, let's go ahead and we'll throw a battery in real quick, and then we'll put the Saber back in or back together, and we'll go over what I did. As you can see, I got your crystal doing a little something different when it's off. And it lights up when the Saber's on, and it does react to auxiliary being pressed. So what I did, because you have one Proffie board, your Proffie board is right here, access to your SD card and your micro USB from here. There was really no way to hide those wires here, if you can see that. But this board is at a slant, so you can get to everything, coming at from here, if that makes sense. What I did was I wired one side to be your power, which is over here by the speaker. And then when this is on your emitter, the other emitter is your auxiliary. All right, so those two things have been wired to the board so you have full function. So let's put this back on real quick. Slide it back on. You just be very careful when you're screwing it in. Once you get this screwed all the way in, you should see your little tactile switch right there. That's how you know you're lined up. And you can take your plunger switch now and screw it back in. Which leads me to the other thing about the Saber when it came to me. And I know somebody else who bought the staff version as well. So I reached out to them to see if it was just me or if it was something that they had too. And it was something they had too. I had to put a rubber O-ring, a black O-ring right here. As you can see it right here. so that I could line up these switches, one here and one here. Otherwise, the emitters didn't line up and they were off quite a bit. And if the emitters don't line up, it's an all-in-one chassis, and those switches line up on the chassis. So these emitters had to line up. So like I said, I ended up using an O-ring right here to get everything to line up with each other, and now you can hit the buttons without issue. So your power over here next to the speaker.
What could you give me? Everything.
Both emitters lighten up. Auxiliary over here. Blade lockup is holding down aux and hitting the saber. And then you've got twist off. This chassis holds a 20mm speaker. Okay, so I turned it down a little bit so I didn't blow it. I think I've got it down to about 1200, maybe 1300. So you could play around with that and see what works for you. I don't like sending smaller speakers out turned up too high because there's too much of a chance for them to blow. All right. So that's pretty much it. Oh, one other thing I did was when you come up to the shroud area, they got 4 screws holding in. So 1, 2, and of course you flip it around, you get another 1, 2. The uppermost 2 screws were longer for blade retention. I went through and I took one of them, one each, and I shaved them down so that you only had to use one for blade retention. You can kind of see it sticking out into blade socket, maybe. It could be a little hard to see that, but you'll see it when you get it in person. It's pretty obvious and you can feel it with your finger there. We're going to back that out. I just thought one blade retention screw was plenty, especially given the blade depth of the saber, which is quite a bit. All right. So we'll throw a blade in here. I'll show you that this side lights up. So I got my short test blade here. Got my longer test blade right here. We'll cycle through some colors. You can see everything is working like it should. Of course, they're going to mirror each other. Like that blue. You do have twist off. We'll get to a fire blade. There you go. That one looks pretty cool with the blades. Swing too hard, I'm going to hit my roof, but you can see everything's looking good and it's firing up just like it should. Just like that. We'll go ahead and we'll take the blades back out. So we've got the blades back out, and then when we're done, of course, we'll just take our battery out. Don't ever forget to unscrew the plunger from the side that has the O-ring. That's an easy way to remember what side is going to come off. And then let me turn this light on. Of course, we'll just take the handle off again. And then we can, from the middle here, you can pretty much grab your battery, pull it out just like that. Just be super careful of this area right here because, like I said, it is a break point. There's a lot of heavy stuff going on past it, so you really have to be careful. Okay, but that is basically your Valkyrie staff. Let me know if you got any questions, and if not, I'll get this out to you by tomorrow. All right, thanks.